Okay.
Recording started.
Okay, recording started. Hi, this is Bryan Bayles. I am the Curator of Anthropology and Health at the Witte Museum, and I am joined here with Kate Rogers. Well, I'll let them introduce themselves. Tom Schlencker from the Metro Health Department and Kate Rogers from HEB.
Oh, I'm Kate Rogers. I'm the Vice President of Corporate Communication and Health Promotion at HEB, which is a grocery company.
And I'm Tom Schlencker. I'm the Director of Metro Health, which is a local health department here in San Antonio and the surrounding county. And we have been working closely with the Witte over months, and so we're very excited about this.
All right. So that's the gang here. Let me see. Do you want to move ahead? I've got the sponsor slide up, or should I drive that? I want to make sure I give a shout out.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay, there's our sponsorship slide. The Witte Museum. And it'll become clear why Kate and Tom are here as well, because I really want to talk a lot about the importance of partnership, because none of this, particularly the innovative nature of the technology that's at the core of this exhibition and experience really would not have been possible without them and their leadership and so many others. But the Witte Museum promotes lifelong learning through innovative exhibitions, programs, and collections in natural history, science, and South Texas heritage. Okay, those are our sort of three arms. We are the city's first and most visited museum on city-owned property here, bordering Brackenridge Park, right along the beautiful San Antonio River. And we've been here for 87 years, so we're the city's oldest museum. And we serve some pretty tremendous numbers, which we'll talk a little more about in a moment. But last fiscal year, we had over 430,000 visitors, 150,000 school-aged children, and 80,000 free Tuesday visitors. So that every Tuesday from 3 to 8 p.m. we have free hours for our visitors. So why the HEB Body Adventure? And Tom, you might want to just chime in. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this other than to sort of state the obvious, but San Antonio, as well as the nation, is facing some tremendous trends in obesity, both childhood and adult, and really what a perfect storm of sedentary lifestyles, processed foods, and which is leading to a lot of other chronic diseases as well. That is just sort of background. We'll come back to the health implications in a moment, but why the Witte? So why would we get involved in public health? Now the Body Adventure is part of our science initiative, but as you'll see, it's also tied in very closely with our natural history initiative as well, given that hang on, I'm seeing it. Brian, we just click the follow box near the slide arrows at the top. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just want to be sure that we're all seeing the same slide you are. So if you look up in the top right button, just make sure that it's back there. Perfect.
Oh yes, okay,
excellent. Thank you.
It is great. Great, thank you. So why did we get into public health? Because we actually in the very beginnings of the project we got that question a lot, and a lot of people not sort of looking a little puzzled when we began to address this. I like to show when we talk about this, I like to show this slide, which is 4 generations of a single family here at the Witte Museum visiting. And like we said, we've been here for generations. We have families that have grown up bringing their entire family and their children and their grandchildren to this museum. We have a very long history since the 1920s. So the Witte really has a tremendous social equity in the community, and we like to call ourselves the People's Museum. and consider ourselves a safe haven, not just for fun, interactive experiences, but also for civic dialogue, for civic engagement and dialogue about issues that are important to our community. Public health clearly being one that is becoming of greater and greater importance. But with that social equity also comes a tremendous responsibility in our eyes and in our leadership's eyes, a responsibility for that civic engagement. But a little bit more about why the Witte? Why is the museum a good place for something like this? So this slide just shows a little bit. We track at our point of sale system at the front desk. We track our visitation, and this breaks it down by city council district. Obviously, you don't need to get too into the weeds with the numbers, but the point being that our city council districts are really represented in terms of our visitation equally. This is fiscal year 2013, and we track this very closely. And when we see in our senior management meetings, when we see one of these wedges start going down from year to year, we aggressively market and invest in reaching out through direct contact with the schools and through marketing campaigns in those neighborhoods to bring those numbers up, because we also our visitation through a biannual pro-marketing survey that we do, telephone survey. We'll talk more about some of the data that we're going to be able to collect through the Body Adventure. But through our marketing survey, we also know that our visitorship matches the greater San Antonio metropolitan area demographics almost precisely in terms, here we're showing ethnicity, 48% Hispanic, 44 white non-Hispanic, and Black, Asian, and other, but it also falls as well, that also goes for income, ethnicity, and age demographics, which really for a cultural institution and a social science or a natural history museum is really pretty unprecedented. This was something that got me very excited as a public health researcher when I saw these demographics and I saw the potential that visitorship, that reach that we have in the community. And so we're very proud of that, but it's also a very conscious thing that we work on and is something that drives our vision. So this brings us to the HEB Body Adventure, which is our latest initiative towards, it's part of a larger campus expansion plan, a very large campus expansion plan that is was basically a re-envisioning of an existing structure, which was the HEB Science Treehouse. So we opened in May, late May, so it's been just a few months. We have already had about 40,000 visitors go through the space, go through the experience, and we will, I'll show you a video in a moment just so you get a better feel for it. But it is 4 stories of indoor, outdoor, interactive adventures that are all about making physical activity, healthy eating, and relaxation and wellness fun and engaging. And as we'll see, technology is an important part of this. Now, before I go on, none of this, again, I just want to reiterate how key these partnerships have been. HEB, University Health System, which is our county health system, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas, the Children's Hospital, the San Antonio Metropolitan Health District. These are all just some of the partners that have been involved. And in addition to that, I sit, and Kate Rogers here is the active chair of the Mayor's Fitness Council. I also am a member of the Mayor's Fitness Council, as is Dr. Schlencker. But the Culinary Institute here along the river, San Antonio Parks and Recreation. We have developed over years sustained and ongoing relationships with all of these partners, and that's a really key thing, and it's something that we have to, takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort, and it began, and Kate, maybe you can talk real briefly about how HEB approached us initially with re-envisioning, which then led to a series of 3 science summits where we invited all of these partners, including public health professionals, myself included, to come and begin envisioning it. But it all began really with HEB's leadership in saying, hey, we have this building that's very much beloved at the Witte Museum, the Science Treehouse, but we want to do something new and really relevant.
Yeah, so we, just a note about us, because most people outside of Texas don't know HEB. So we are a family-owned, privately held grocery company, primarily grocery. We have about 350 stores throughout Texas and Mexico. We have about 80,000 employees who we call partners, and we're about little over 20 billion in sales. So it gives you some sense of who we are. We are the state's largest provider of food. So a few years back, our current president really put a stake in the ground to say, as that provider, we really need to take a leadership role in helping Texans to understand the link between food and nutrition and overall health. And so we've done a number of things, obviously, for our own employees and experimented with a number of things within our stores, but we also wanted to include some of our big community partnerships in that effort. And we've been a long-standing partner of the Witte for many, many years. When we first built the Science Treehouse, which was mostly focused on the physical sciences, it was at the time the largest single capital contribution the company had given to one entity. And the time had come. I mean, the Bayles venture was well-loved and a little bit tired, and so it was time to refresh it. And we said, well, why don't we do something dramatically different and focus on an area that a lot of museums haven't really tackled yet? And that was what Bryan alluded to. Could we take this topic, which quickly can become boring and turn people off of, we all know we need to eat more nutritiously, we all know we need to get more physical activity, but most of us don't, and there are many, many reasons for that. So could we approach the topic in a really fun, interesting, and engaging way so that not only the children who are experiencing the exhibit, but literally their whole families would come time and time again, and each time they come, the hope is that they'll leave with one small nugget of information that they might deploy into their daily lifestyle to make some of those changes in a systematic fashion over time. And so we kind of pushed the Witte to say, you know, would you guys be willing to go on this journey with us? And we're thrilled that they welcomed the invitation.
And we did that through a series of science summits, and this is actually how I got involved, because I was actually on faculty over at the medical school and as a public health researcher and anthropologist, and was brought over to help begin brainstorming. One of the key things that came out of this, I'm going to skip one slide and then come back to that, but whoops. No, I won't. One of the key things that came out of that was the physicians, and Tom, maybe you can back me up on this, is they were telling us the clinic-based approaches alone towards sustained behavior change were not enough. That the doctors could prescribe change, but what we really needed to do was community-based efforts that would inspire change and make it fun. So actually, I did want to show this, Tom, and I'll give you an opportunity real quick just to mention this, that this is really part of a broader initiative citywide through Julian Castro's leadership, but also some of the things. So Tom, if you want to just real briefly mention some of the other efforts that are happening citywide, like Ciclovia and Fitness in the Parks. Because again, as a museum and as a civically engaged museum, we again have a presence at each of these events, and we try very hard to maintain these partnerships as well.
Sure, Bryan. You know, when most people think about health, they think about health care, and public health is an entity that looks at it much differently. And in fact, in public health, one of the things that we repeat and believe is that in terms of determining a person's health, maybe about 10% of that is due to the health care they might receive during their lifetime. But all the rest is due to the physical environment that they live in, their own personal behaviors, and genetics. So public health focuses on behaviors and physical environment, and we apply that in our daily work, and especially we focus nowadays on the incredible obesity epidemic that is affecting the entire country. The slide that Bryan showed earlier shows how obesity rates in the United States have doubled in about the past 20 years or so. So this is something new and something terrible. This is what fills our hospital beds. This is what costs billions and billions of dollars every year. And this is especially apparent here in San Antonio, really decreases people's quality of life in many ways. For example, 14% of our entire population is diagnosed diabetic in San Antonio. If you add those who are diabetic but don't have the medical diagnosis yet, that's up to 18%. And the outcomes of diabetes are horrible, as I think most people listening know, leading to blindness, leading to kidney failure, leading to amputation of extremities. And this is something you can notice walking around San Antonio, the damage that it's done. So we are continually focused on this and looking for many different strategies to address it. It can fairly be easily compartmentalized into physical activity and nutrition, but how you get there, how you get to where you want to be is a pretty involved and complicated universe. We have spent millions of dollars in this regard in recent years. We've had a number of successes. We are known for our bicycling festivals that happen several times a year called Ciclavia. The last one had over 80,000 people in the street on a Sunday, riding up and down all day long, having a great time. That, I think, more than anything else, is symbolic of what we want to do, to encourage healthy living, physical activity, and good nutrition, but on in a kind of a community way, in that you do it with your friends, with your family, you care about other people in your neighborhood. It's not at all an individual health care doctor-patient relationship. These are population-based, community-oriented strategies, and that's the real reason we were so excited about what Bryan and others are doing here at the Witte. It's in one sense another strategy, but ultimately we're not going to win this battle just by adding more and more strategies, no matter how successful they are. The key element that I'm sure he will talk about here is our ability to, on a broad population basis, monitor how well things are going or not, and form our interventions around that data.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great segue. Thank you so much, Tom. So what I want to do next is actually show a brief video. Try to show a brief video here that will show you inside. Now, let me know if this link that I put in the chat room works. Can everyone play that now?
Yeah, and Brian,
I don't know if there's...
Yeah,
I'm going to put that actually in the web tour also.
I'm going to put that actually in the web tour also.
But I want to make sure that we're seeing... I'm still not sure that we're seeing the same slides that you are.
I'm not sure that we're seeing the same slides that you are.
So if you're, is that follow box checked up there?
Is that follow box checked
at the top? And
yeah.
then can you just move forward and back through a slide for a second, just so I can make sure that we're seeing it?
Okay, so goals, healthy vending.
Yes, I'm not seeing
Discovery
that.
Garden.
Yes,
Are you still in that page explorer mode?
Oh.
Are you still in that page explorer mode?
No.
Okay, well, that's okay. You can just let me know which slide do you want to be on right now.
Which slide do you want to be on right now?
Well, I was going to show the video real briefly. If that, what's the best way to do that?
I'll paste it here in the chat.
I'll paste it here in the chat.
And if the video doesn't start for you guys right away, go ahead and click play.
Right away, go ahead and click play.
Okay. Waiting for you. So do each of us just click on this link to watch? Okay. You should just need the web tour now.
Brian, we are seeing the video now. So if you just leave it in that mode, it's in web. Oh, so now we're back in the whiteboard. So we'll just leave it on web tour, and I'll let you know as soon as it's done running, and we'll go back to the PowerPoint. All right, Brian, so the video just ended for me, and if you want to turn your mic back on, and then you can take us through the slides.
Okay, great. So the video touched on a lot, and I'll reiterate a few things. But first off, I wanted to mention real quick that obviously there's a number of, because it is the technology-focused presentation, there are a number of parts of the experience indoors and outdoors that do not require this power pass. There's the toddler discovery garden, which I'm showing. There is an interactive Move It dance floor, which I hope you're seeing there, which there's a number of different games you can play that light up, and like a dodgeball. Super fun. We added an infrared camera as well, so you can, after the kids and the family gets on the floor, they can get active, and then we take them over and we show them how their body's heated up and they've expended some energy. So it's that energy in, energy out. We installed container gardens, culinary herb, vegetable gardens, and a full-scale demonstration kitchen underground. We use ingredients from the gardens to create very simple recipes, often 3-4 ingredients, no more. And we very consciously chose the container gardens because we wanted to send that message, again, of empowerment, that even in limited space, you can grow some vegetables, but making that connection back to the land again. So that's an important component. We have a life-size interactive anatomy touch table. This is a pretty remarkable piece of equipment that we're working with in partnership also with the medical school to bring medical school volunteers over, where you can actually drag your finger and do virtual dissections, slice through and do 3D, rotate the body, and explore inside the entire body and look at all different anatomical systems. But at the heart of the experience is, and really one of the keys, is this Power Pass. So, and this is a networked system of exhibition components that are interactive and full body. So the first thing you do when you walk in is you go to one of 6 sign-in kiosks, and which you saw in the video, and you choose a buddy. So these buddies, these are 12 real people from San Antonio that we recruited a couple of years ago, actually. We began a journey with them, and we put them kind of through a 3-month healthy lifestyle makeover. Again, we made a conscious choice not to simply focus on weight loss, but more on health IQ, empowerment, that they could set their own goals, small attainable goals, and just overall wellness. So each of them set their own goals, and they went to cooking classes with some of our partners at the Culinary Institute, for example. They went on a shopping tour at HEB and learned how to read food labels. Anyway, we had film crews follow them through the whole process. So when you come into the Body Adventure, you'll pick one of these. And it will print out a little credit card size paper card called a Power Pass. And that has a little barcode on it. And you take that serves as your key to a number of interactive experiences. And what that does is it allows a couple things. It allows your buddy, basically, will follow you and be your virtual peer companion through the experience. Because one of the things that we've learned through our evidence-based research in public health is the importance of family, and Tom spoke very eloquently about this, that it's not just a one-to-one thing. It's important to have a social support system, whether that be a family member, a friend. It takes the entire community. So we actually wanted to build that experience of support into the exhibition itself through the technology of the Power Pass. And so as you go to each station, little videos and messages, encouraging messages and stories of your chosen buddy will pop up. Plus, the experience can change each time you come because you can pick a different buddy. So there's your buddy, and you get this little card over here that serves as your Power Pass and your key to different activities. And then, as mentioned in the video, at the end, you scan your little card. It's a little barcode scanner, and it prints out a little take-home Power Pass sign-out. And this is just basically a little record of your experience. It's a personalized experience, and it has a little avatar that you built of yourself, and also a little avatar of your buddy. So this is just another view. So there's a picture. There's a picture of your face that gets put on a little avatar that's done as an activity you'll see in a moment called All About You, which is actually a key data collection point for us. And then the other is the avatar of your buddy. And now this is all non-clinical data. It's things like your stride length and your energy score that you get at one activity. But one thing I want to talk a little bit about here now is to really dig into the data collection, because as Tom mentioned, if we really want to know whether all of these efforts are working, we need to really think creatively about ways to monitor and see if, as a community, community-wide, we're really moving the dial on some of these key things. So one of the things that the Power Pass network system card allows us to do is one, this interconnected buddy, peer support, role modeling, and a personalized experience. But it also creates two things. One, you have to think of it as one, the visitor, that's the visitor experience. But then at the back end, that network system of components allows us to capture user data, which is all de-identified and aggregate only, through a back-end SQL server database. So now, obviously, this data collection, we're very transparent about it. We inform the public through signage at the stations, telling them that the data is being collected. Names and photos are never stored or collected. We also inform the public through our educator's guide and our outreach to all the schools. So at any rate, it's important to say that at no point can we trace the data to a specific named individual. We can, however, we have a code. So we will know that, say, a 6-year-old from zip code X came in, did XYZ activities, and here's some data on them, which allows us then to generate quarterly reports that we're doing here in partnership, specifically with San Antonio Metropolitan Health District, so that we can generate these aggregate reports internally and then share them with the city and with the public to see how we're doing as a community, and are we moving the needle on these key variables. And again, these metrics we worked very this was a real challenge, and it's a very tricky thing because, you know, we're not a research institution, we're a museum. It's got to be fun, so we don't want kids sitting down and filling out little bubble surveys and things like that. So we had to be very creative, and our designers, JKA and Associates, Fable Vision, and other SNIBI Interactive, and a lot of the folks that we worked with in developing these interactives were tremendously creative in making these activities fun, while also allowing us to capture data that is aligned to specific key targets in our San Antonio 2020 plan and the State Health Department strategic plans for the prevention of obesity. So what kind of data are we talking about here? Well, when we sign in, we get you enter your name, you enter your age, gender, you pick a buddy, your zip code if you know it. Some of the kids will not know it. We're actually developing a system that will populate that automatically for the schools, for the school trips, just to save some time. But also your preferred language. All of the materials and videos are bilingual or captioned in Spanish and English. Pick Up Your Pace is an activity where you walk across a motion capture screen, and it measures your stride length, and it's really fun. And then you see a little animation of your stride length and your speed, and people walk across this and do really silly. I moonwalked across it, and then it actually you take that with your Power Pass, and then it says, okay, well, at that pace, would you like to see how long it would take you to walk the entire San Antonio River Trek from Mission Espada up to the Witte Museum, which is 13 miles? And I mentioned that it would take me about 9 hours to moonwalk it, by the way. But the reason I also mentioned that is at multiple places, as Dr. Schlencker mentioned, it is the built environment and the community is such a key part of our overall health and wellness that we also made a conscious choice to make these interactives refer back to community assets. So the big one, for example, being that we're right along the scenic San Antonio River, and the city has invested tremendously, and many others have invested tremendously in improvements, walking trails, cycling trails along the San Antonio River, these beautiful new trails and parks. And so we, for example, in the walking thing, the Pick Up Your Pace, we then say, oh, now would you like to see what it would take to walk along the San Antonio River trails? And again, the idea is that we'll feed back and encourage people to then get out and use those resources. We do the same thing I'm just going to jump ahead here, a virtual bike ride called the South Texas Trailblaze, where the visitor jumps on a little cycle, their buddy pops up, and they see an animated real-time avatar of themselves cycling along a section of the beautiful new trails that have been built along the San Antonio River. In particular, it's the Mission Reach. We went down there with a GoPro camera and then fed that to our animators who designed the interactive around that. And it shows you your real-time heart rate as you're cycling and your target heart rate, and then you try to reach that target heart rate. And again, all the while you're receiving feedback and encouragement from your buddy. Let me see. So these are just some of the activities. At the back end, we are capturing, for example, distance traveled, the average speed of the bike. Well, that will allow us, for example, to look at moderate. If somebody's cycling at less than 10 miles per hour, we generally consider that moderate physical activity. If they're 10 miles per hour or over, they're doing vigorous activity. We also want to know, did they achieve their target heart rate? We also use the same algorithm as our BCyc, our city's bicycle sharing program, to estimate calories burned. So we'll have all that. We'll have little snapshots of this data. I do want to mention, because this is really a central data collection point, is this interactive activity called All About You. And this is, you scan your little card, and it asks you, what you're doing is you're building your little avatar, which you'll take home. It takes a little snapshot through a webcam of your face. You can see mine there. And it leads you through a couple questions. And these are essentially kind of modeled after the national and state surveys like the YRBS. However, they've been simplified. They've been made a little more user-friendly. This question you're seeing here is, what is your favorite way to stay active and get moving? So you can pick, say, biking, and the little figure, a little bike will appear, and you'll hear a little bicycle bell ring. You can pick yoga, and it'll put your avatar in a little yoga pose. I'm holding an apple there because one thing it asks is, it says, what's your favorite healthy snack? And I chose fruit. And so a little apple popped up in my hand. But then there's some additional questions. This is just another visitor and doing this together with as a family, doing this activity and taking their picture and building their avatar. But it is getting us data, as I mentioned, on favorite way to stay active, what is their favorite healthy food. We have a question on soda consumption. Dr. Schlencker, you can maybe say something here about the importance of liquid calories is something that is a big problem here and nationwide. But we asked specifically, did you drink any soda yesterday, and how many times?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were very interested in that piece of information because we have some community-wide data here in San Antonio that demonstrates that our obesity rates, in fact, have gone down over the past couple of years, and that is very closely associated with the decrease in daily soda consumption. So we wanted to not only ask about soda, but specifically about daily soda consumption. Our position now, based on this data, is that we're not against soda, we're only against too much soda, and we actually have some data on how much is too much. So we wanted that specific variable because it's key in our community, and it also corresponds to our BRFS data. So we can match that and see how children are doing relative to how the adult community is doing.
So thanks, Tom. And that we also have a question about screen time. How much time did you spend at the computer? Are there fun, safe places to go outside and play near where you live? Again, we want to be able to sort of track, is there a perception in the community that there are resources nearby in the built environment in terms of parks and so on? And this is going to be a learning process as we may tweak and add a question or take a question off and see what's working, what's not. But I did notice somebody did type in a question about BMI. So yes, there's a lot of debate about BMI. We are capable of capturing BMI. I'm going to back up real quick, and I want to leave enough time here for some questions. At the Pick Up Your Pace station, where you go across the motion capture screen, and then you scan your card, and it says, wait while we calculate how much time it'll walk you to walk the river, we have a height sensor there that takes your height. Now, this activity, I hope you're seeing this soda cup, this giant soda cup. This is called You Are What You You Are What You Drink. And we actually, it's interesting, in this activity, we worded it around sweet drink. Yeah. Because in addition to sodas, there's also energy drinks and sweet tea. If you're from Texas, this juices are all play into an overconsumption of what we often call sort of empty calories and sugar, which if not burned off can lead to excess weight gain. So this is a fun activity where you step up on the stair stepper and it says, let's pick a drink and see how long it'll take you to work it off. So if you pick water, you get feedback right away saying, great job, you're done. And it said, now would you like to see what a sweet drink would be like. So then you can pick a sweet drink and you can pick a size, and it can be small, medium, large, or super size. And obviously the calculations vary, and then you start stepping. And we have an algorithm to figure essentially roughly how long it would take you to, given your height and weight and age, to burn off the calories. And again, the message being sent there is, okay, if you're going to make the choice to consume soda or to consume a sweet beverage, there's a consequence, and there's going to have to be some energy expenditure to work that off. And often this is a big aha moment when people see just how long that activity is going to take. But we also are able, through a scale under this, as the machine is adjusting, to capture weight. So at one station we're catching height, at another station we're catching weight, and so at no point is the visitor talking about their weight, or we didn't want to stigmatize, we didn't want to emphasize weight loss. We wanted that to be, not a focus of their fun experience. However, at the back end, coupled with age and gender and so on, we are able to calculate BMIs. Now, we are just now in the process of generating our first report, and there's going to be some data cleaning that has to occur, some calibration to make sure that what the accuracy of the height. We've had some design challenges to get really accurate heights. We've been coming up with some really creative solutions, but that is the wonderful thing is that, as I've said, we've developed these long, sustained partnerships, and we intend to be doing this. This is a permanent building, permanent exhibition. This is going to be here for a long time, and so we foresee these reports and this monitoring and tweaking and refining, changing and growing and developing over time. Let me just see if I've missed anything. South Texas Trailblaze, all about you. Some of the data, and I think, and then there's also, just real quick, there's also a fun little interactive game called Build a Balanced Meal, where you you choose foods from among the different food groups, and we use the My Plate model to build a meal for your buddy. And when you build a meal, you're powering your buddy to walk along the San Antonio River Trek. Again, so the animation you see after you build your meal is a little animation of your buddy walking along the San Antonio River, and we have some very iconic images. You see these, the river walk itself. You see these beautiful fish sculptures that if you're from San Antonio, you'll recognize right away, as well as the missions. And again, because we always wanted there to be this sort of back and forth between folks in the community come, they visit the museum, they have this full body experience, they maybe spark some conversations, and then they say, oh, hey, we haven't been out on the bee cycle yet. We haven't been down to the Riverwalk, and we haven't gone to that new park. So we see there's a lot of cross marketing as well that we hope to do at these stations to feed back into the community. So let's see, so I think that's all I have. I'm happy. We're happy to entertain some comments, questions. I think we're doing okay on time. We haven't run out, right?
Yeah, you guys have some time.
Does anybody?
Yeah, you guys have some time.
And if
we have a little time, so
if you can raise your hand, and we'll give you the mic.
You can raise your hand, and we'll give you the mic.
Okay. Let's see.
That's a metaphor, right?
Yeah, there's a little. There's a little raise your hand button. And if not, I am always available. Please feel free to contact me at the Witte Museum. In fact, I'm going to type in my email address right here so everybody has it. And I am happy to entertain more questions and dialogue with you, talk about ways we can partner, and just answer any questions you have. And we're really privileged and want to thank all of you for attending and the New Media Consortium and this whole Future Museums endeavor. It's really spectacular, and we're proud to be a part of it. So thank you very much. And Amy, you've been wonderful as a moderator and walking a kind of tech newbie through some of this.
Thanks, you guys. This has been really great. And
thanks, you guys. This has been
sorry
really
there
great.
Was some slides lag there, but I tried to keep up with you guys.
Lag there, but I tried to keep up with you guys.
No worries, and I'm glad the video came through. If anybody would like me to email them the link to that video if they'd like to watch it again later or something, I'm happy to do that. Just I see a question here about have I done evaluation? So yes, we have evaluation is ongoing. One is the metrics that we're going to be collecting through the PowerPass SQL Server database. That's a huge part of my job over the next months and years is sorting through that data. It tells us a tremendous amount, not just about the public health variables that we touched on, fruit and vegetable consumption and so on, but it also gives us information on dwell times, which activities visitors are spending the most time at, which they are doing. We also do on-the-floor evaluations where myself and a team of our visitor associates, we have iPads where we will go and do both behavioral observations to identify glitches and identify places where the visitor experience can be improved, but also visitor surveys. And these are more sort of your typical satisfaction surveys and would they recommend it? We will be reporting on all that data very soon. A whole nother evaluation plan that we've developed that we do is, as I mentioned, our interactive school programs. So all of the curriculum that we do for our demonstrations, like when we do cooking demonstrations, we have our visitors and teachers, school teachers, fill out sheets about what they liked, what was most effective for them, suggested changes, and so on. We've only been open a few months, so all of that data is rolling in currently. We've been really overwhelmed at the positive response we've gotten from the public. And yes, we will be looking forward to sharing that evaluation data publicly through reports, both with Metro Health but also on our website, so folks can download and see how the visitor experience is making an impact. And it's also very useful for us too, because if something's not working, we know we need to target it. And we need to change it. My background actually is in public health evaluation, and so that's kind of my specialty. And one of the primary tasks that I'm tasked with and have been brought over to do is help them evaluate that. And in terms of the theoretical or logic model behind this, we're looking for an increase in health IQ, which is, what do you know about your body? Did you learn something new about your body? And that could be anatomy, physiology, so on. We also, this variable of self-efficacy. Do you feel empowered that, hey, I can set a small goal and make a change? Did our program, did our kitchen demo, did our You Are What You Drink activity, did it empower you? Did it make you feel like you're more capable? Because we know that is self-efficacy is a very critical variable, that if you can increase that in an individual and see an uptick in that over time, they're more likely to actually change their behavior and sustain it over time. And so those are some of the key things that we're looking at in our evaluation instruments, as well as the level of physical activity, the consumption, increases in consumption of fruits and vegetables, decreases in screen time, decreases in sugar-sweetened beverage consumption over time, things like that. So I guess that's it. We're running down. Unless there's any more questions. And did I hit everything? You got Tom, Kate, any? 2 or 3 times. Okay, good. Good. Wonderful.
Great job, you guys.
I do. I enjoy talking about that.
I'm going to stop the recording here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to stop the recording here.